Restorative justice is a process that enables people that have been a part of a crime or conflict to come together and communicate about what's happened. It enables them to share their experiences of what has happened and how that's affected them and other people. And the aim is that they can together decide what needs to happen next in order for some of that harm to be repaired, or for them to decide a way that they can move forward from what has happened. That can take place in different ways. It can be a direct meeting, and as a practitioner that's what we strive for, because we know that actually a lot can be told about somebody in terms of body language, and if you have a question for somebody and you ask that, quite often their answer then provokes other questions. However, we know that face-to-face meetings aren't always the most appropriate for people. It might be that they're too scared to come together, it might be that they just don't have the time or want to meet each other, but they may still have different things that they want to ask or want to communicate with each other. So we would look at an indirect process in that instance, and that could be done by shuttle mediation, where the practitioners would take information and exchange that between the parties, or it may be that a person would like to write a letter about how they feel, how they've been affected and what happened, and that can be exchanged with the other party or person, and they can respond to that. So in Hampshire, we're really lucky that our service has very wide criteria. We are a victim-led service, so we will accept referrals from victims of crime for all types of offences. We also accept harmer-led referrals, but there is a caveat on those ones, which is we don't accept domestic abuse or sexual violence cases from the harmer, but we do accept them from the victim. And the reason for that is due to controlling and manipulative behaviour and motivation. It's something that we as practitioners have to be very careful of, and currently there isn't much research around restorative justice when it's the harmer that's made the referral for those offences. But as I say, we do accept referrals for all types of offences, so that can be where there hasn't been a formal police outcome, right through to lower level cases, out of court disposals, right through to your prison cases where the offender's in custody. For us to work with a victim and an offender, the offender does have to accept some form of responsibility for what they've done. They don't necessarily have to be remorseful for that, but they do have to acknowledge that some of their actions have caused harm to somebody else. There is no age limit on the participants that we work with, so we will work with all victims of all ages. In terms of the offender, if they are under 18, they will work with the youth offending team. However, again, there's no upper age limit for our service. And also the whole process itself is a voluntary process, so if at any point a victim or offender decides they don't wish to go forward, then that's absolutely fine, and we explain that obviously when we meet with them initially, that even just because they've met with us doesn't mean that they have to go forward with any restorative process. That initial appointment is really for them to be informed about what that process might look like, answer any questions and concerns that they may have, and then they can make an informed decision on that. So a victim may benefit from restorative justice because in our criminal justice system at the moment, it's a very process-driven arena. So a lot of things are done to victims of crime. So the majority of victims never choose to be a victim of crime, yet they are then have to give a statement to the police, they then have to go to court, and they aren't given that opportunity to have a voice or an input into what happens as a result of that offence. So restorative justice is enabling them the opportunity to have some control and choice in what could happen next in order to repair some of the harm that's been caused to them. The process allows them to ask any questions that they may have to the offender, and we know that actually quite often it's only that offender that can answer those questions, and as we say, a lot of the feedback we get from victims is about having that time to decide for themselves whether they believe what the offender is saying to them, so they can ask them a question about remorse, and they decide themselves whether they believe that that person is sorry. It also gives, as I said, that opportunity for them to take back some control over the situation and what happened, and we have a lot of experience seeing that victims, when they leave that meeting, they sort of say that it's a weight lifted off their shoulders because they feel that they've had that opportunity to clear the air and ask their questions for themselves. For an offender, the benefits are that they have the opportunity to explain what happened at the time of that offence. So it's not about justification, it's not about making excuses, but it's about giving a bit of background to that victim about what was going on for them at that time that led up to the situation happening. It also allows the offender the opportunity to apologise if that's something that they wish to do, and also if they have any questions they can ask those questions of the victim. Feedback we get from offenders is that actually they like to show people that they're trying to do the right thing, so for them to meet with that victim and try and answer those questions or do whatever it is that the victim feels needs to happen, it's their way of trying to make sure that they're doing the right thing and they're trying to put right what went wrong. So in Hampshire, to make a referral to our service, there is a few ways. So one is by emailing our Hampshire and Isle of Wight email address. There is our free phone number, and the referrals we take from different agencies as well. So we do take victim and offender-led referrals, self-referrals, through those means. And we do also take referrals from partner agencies. So if a victim or an offender is working with different agencies such as probation or victim support, for example, they can make a referral on their behalf. So if people want to find out more about restorative justice, there is the Restorative Justice Hampshire website. They can also look on the Police Crime Commissioner website for Hampshire, and there is a lot of information as well, Restorative Solutions, for example, where they can find out more.